What's up, guys? This is the 123 Baseball Pod. I'm Ryan Pettis. This is Gavin Calloway. We're just two former college baseball. I'm a former college baseball athlete. Gavin over here is a has been around college baseball programs for a while. Gavin, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself?
Man, just a red-blooded American that loves baseball and maybe wasn't gifted with the athletic ability to play it. So you get people like me that get to go and have the opportunity to be around the game and work in it in a myriad of different roles coming up, student manager, helping out any way I could, run a track man, all that kind of stuff. So just blessed to have had that opportunity and trying to grow this wonderful game that everybody loves.
Yeah, but you get to see a lot more college baseball than I do.
That's a good point.
Because you've got four screens pulled up during our games.
I just like to be informed. That's what I say.
As you should. I played college baseball for 5 years. After my freshman year, I went to Florida State University in the wonderful Tallahassee, Florida. Great capital city. Go Ron DeSantis. Love that guy. After my freshman year, COVID year, transferred to the University of Troy, where I spent the remainder of my 4 years of college baseball. And didn't really amount to much. So now here I am with Gavin Calloway talking about college baseball. I don't think it could come full circle any better than that. But, here we are. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the new rankings that came out, the new ACC playoff or ACC tournament format, which is a little interesting to me. Kind of like it. We'll save that for later. We're going to talk about some conference champions who we think is going to make Omaha our sleeper for Omaha. And then we're going to have a little surprise here at the end. See if Callaway knows some ball like he says he does. But yeah, let's get into it.
Hey, don't sell your short shirt, man. You're a big team guy. Big team guy.
I was a team. I was a pitcher, so a lot of watching ball, a lot of tobacco, a lot of nicotine, a lot of sunflower seeds, a lot of gum, a lot of Gatorade, a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I probably went through, what would you say, over under 350 PB&Js in my college career? What would you say there?
Yeah, you've probably put away that many. I mean, you got to think 56th in the conference tournament, 5 years. You got the regional. Shout out Troy. Yeah, it's got to be well over that. I mean, that's the go-to there in the dugout, peanut butter and jelly.
Or you throw a little Nutella on there. You got something special. I'm not going to say what that's called, but you got something special.
We had variety.
Yeah, you got a variety. You got peanut butter and jelly. And then for the people who are allergic to peanut butter, you got to have the separate knives. You know how it is in there. And you got a couple pitchers on the back end that don't get too many innings. A little bit less innings than myself that like to eat all of the gummies, and those are gone by about the third inning, which is just absolute tragic when it comes down to the seventh inning stretch. But it is what it is, and you can't really.
They put a hurting on them. Man,
they really did. They really did. All right, let's get into it. What do we think about the college baseball top 25, Gavin?
All right, I'm gonna go big picture here because that's just kind of how I like to be. I'm out on preseason rankings. I think it's a sham because it's all a guess, especially nowadays, the way the college landscape is. Teams are changing. I mean, it's 20, 25 kids in and out every single year. And it's just a guess. It's a crapshoot, and I get it. It's a media thing to drive, any sort of excitement coming up for the season is, we're ranked, preseason number 12. But let's be real. Florida State was top 10 a couple years ago, and they won like 18 games. You never really know.
Florida State's always going to be top 10.
Well, I coach Jarrett now, so we'll get comfortable staying there. That's for sure.
Coach.
But I mean, you look at it; it's A&M, national runner-up last year. They obviously bring a lot back, even after the head coaching change there with Slosh moving on to UT, Virginia, another Omaha team, LSU, with the rebuild, Tennessee, Tony V, what he's done there is just incredible. They just seem to reload every year. it's kind of loaded with ACC, SEC teams like it is every year. You see a couple other kind of towards the bottom, and like I said, that's probably just a nod to how well you can sell your program in the preseason. Who's getting thrown in the back end of that preseason ranking?
Well, I think for that, for the SEC, ACC getting loaded, when you add Stanford, you add Oklahoma, you add Texas. That's just 3 more perennial top 25 teams that you just add to your already proven top 25 background that you're always going to have. So, you have, let's see, Stanford's not ranked in the preseason. They had what did they go last year? Like 28 and 30. It wasn't the best season by Stanford's, the use Stanford's used to at all. But they've got the international new player over there. That guy's bringing a lot of hype.
That's bringing a lot of hype. 40, who knows?
But, Texas, you get new head coach. Then you got Oklahoma, who's got an unbelievable staff back into their bullpen there. That's a pretty good team. They're going to be scary in SEC play. But, it's always the top 15 to 20 is just ACC, SEC, ACC, SEC. You sprinkle in the occasional Pac-12, which there is no more Pac-12, but, Oregon State's in there. And then you always round it out with let's wonder what teams that aren't in the SEC and the ACC that we're just going to throw in there to boost some mid-major ticket sales.
Yeah,
you got Nebraska. Yeah. Nebraska was really good last season. They made a regional. And then you got USCB or UCSB, always perennial team, really good out west. Then you got your boys DBU.
Yep, DBU, big fan.
I know. And then you got TCU, the Horned Frogs. And then you got the Troy Trojans, my alma mater. Both of our alma maters, actually. Yeah, rounding out the top 25. What do you think about that?
Hey, I think that's just a credit to everything Skylar Meade's done since he stepped on campus. That guy's a winner. He loves the game more than anyone I've ever seen, and he's gonna, fight tooth and nail every day to get that program to as high as he can take it. So I think it's just a nod to the kind of program he builds, the kind of coach he is, and the kind of program it's become.
Yeah, he's going to fight for those players. I'll tell you that. He is a fantastic head coach. And when you give him a little bit of money, you got $13 million new stadium. Season tickets, they're already sold out. I mean, you're top 25. You're bringing back, went to a regional 2 years ago. Probably should have won that regional, but things happen. Baseball's baseball. And then you bring back Brooks Bryan, Golden Spikes preseason watch list. Then you got at Sunbelt Freshman of the Year, Jimmy Janicki. He's coming in. Then you got 2 top 50 starting pitchers in college, or top 100 pitchers in college baseball on your Friday and Saturday. And then you bring in an Auburn transfer in Drew Nelson, who's going to be starting on Sunday nights. And I think you got Peyton Watts coming back, shortstop, had a pretty good year as a true freshman. Shane Lewis, he's gonna get you 15 to 20 home runs easily. And you bring back a bunch of transfers that you got all over the field. I think they're going to be very good this year. I think they're going to be a powerhouse in the Sun Belt this year. And I think they're going to make a good chance to even host a regional this year, possibly. But
and major host action.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Who's your Gavin? Who's your dark horse team that's not ranked?
Unranked team. All right. A lot of lineage here, so it's not completely off the radar. They've kind of struggled, maybe, in the past. They did. When I say struggle, I mean advancing maybe in the postseason, and really that comes on one side of the ball, and that's Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets. First and foremost, Ramsey there does a great job with their hitters. They rake year in and year out. They're pumping out pros on the offensive side of the ball every year. It's just, can you get it right on the mound? And it's not for a lack of talent either up there. They've got two sophomore arms, probably Friday, Saturday this year, Tate McKee and Riley Sanford. Big big time stuff. Now it's just how do we transition that into getting outs? Stuff's never really the problem at big time programs like that. Usually you can find guys with live arms. It's just, can you really harness that into, pitching a little, move the ball in and out, execute. But like I said, Drew Burress, I mean, for my money,
kick and hit.
Probably the best player in the country. I mean, 380 last year, 25 homers. Huge power numbers. They hung on to him. You can't win in this game without money. And I would assume he had plenty of lucrative offers at any school across the country that he wanted to go to. So hanging on to him was huge. Big addition in the portal, the D2 guy, Kyle Lodise at shortstop. Pretty athletic kid. They think is going to be big for them at the top of the order. Cousin of Florida State.
I was about to say, is he related to?
Yeah, cousin of Florida State shortstop Alex Lodise, who I think's in for a big year for the Seminoles in Tallahassee. Trust me, we'll get to them. But yeah, I think Georgia Tech it's really. I mean, they make a regional last year, make it to the regional final, just can't outdo Georgia in that one. But it's just. They always hit. That ballpark's built for it.
Hey, I'll tell you what was it 2-3 years ago? The Trojans rolled into that place and put up 14 spot on the Yellow Jackets.
Kevin Parada and Jenkins and the kid that the Rays drafted, Simpson. I mean, that was a loaded offensive club. They made a little noise in that Tennessee regional that year, but man, it was a rough go on the mound for them.
Yeah, no, they had Maxwell was there, wasn't he, that year? Big Hoss?
Big fireball.
He was a weekend guy, though, back. And was it not Chance Huff? Vandy transfer, yep. Georgia Tech?
They had Grissom, Marquise Grissom's son. Another, like I said, stuff. But can you put it together and get outs? And that's been their issue. But I like them. I like every time you can score runs, you got a chance. And if you just give me solid on the mound, I think Georgia Tech's got a chance to make some noise in a loaded ACC. Some would say maybe the best conference in the sport this year. Some would say
the ACC. Is that your hot take of the day?
Listen, the SEC obviously gets its due from every outlet that there is, and I think sometimes some of these programs that are consistently good year in and year out in the ACC, maybe don't get as much hype as some of the other programs in the SEC.
Southeastern Conference.
But yeah, so I'm going to go with the Yellow Jackets there.
Who do you think I like? Who do you think I like, Gavin? It's a Southeastern Conference squad.
Of course it is.
Yeah?
Of course it is.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Ole Miss?
It is not Ole Miss. Right starting number, the Oklahoma Sooners.
I should have known with the props you gave earlier.
Hey, that's a good ball club. Transferring to SEC their first year. A little bit, it's going to be tough for them. I think it's going to be tough. Texas, they were already pretty much built program, and they're coming into the SEC thinking that they have a really good chance to win it. Oklahoma's finished 11th in the preseason SEC rankings, but they've got two pre-Golden Spikes watch list players that I've been looking after, Carmichael and Witherspoon. Witherspoon, that guy can throw the ball pretty hard, I'll tell you that. And he's got a brother on the squad as well. They're gonna have a good starting rotation. I think that rotation can roll into SEC weekends, and I think it can give them a good 6-7 strong, and then just get it to that back into the bullpen, and then that's how you win games on conference weekends. I mean, you got 3 of them you got to play. Friday you roll out the best guy always, and then towards the end, you roll out the fuzz guy throwing 100, and that's how you close it down.
What was it, 2 years ago? They're in the College World Series final there against that Cinderella story in Ole Miss, and they were right there with those 2 arms at the top with Cade Orton, who went in the first round of the Cubs, and then other kid, second rounder to the Nationals, name is escaping me at this moment. But hey, if you got power arms, you got a chance. That's how you win games in today's sport, is home runs and strikeouts. So you got some velo on the mound there, especially at the end. You got a chance.
I agree. Who's your mid-major team? Dark horse.
Mid-major team. This is another tough one for me, because I don't know if they're a dark horse or not. They're in it every year, whether they're doubted coming in or not. Southern Miss has come in and out of into the Sun Belt, out of Conference USA, I believe.
CUSA
is where they were at previously, which they dominated that conference, and then they've come over to the Sun Belt, and another 43-win season, seamless transition there from legendary coach Scott Berry over to former pitching coach and now head coach Christian Ostrander has just done a great job with them on the mound every single year. They lose guys and just replenish. They got I would say, here we go again, just with Georgia Tech. They got some power arms leading that rotation with Colby Allen and J.B. Middleton. Couple of guys that are getting into the mid, with Middleton upper 90s, and transitioning from a bullpen arm to taking that ball every week and carrying the team there as starting pitching is so important. So like I said, stuff not a problem. Pitching is usually the strength of any Southern Miss team. I mean, a few years ago, what they have, Waldrop and Tanner Hall just mowing people.
A nice
down
little mid-major 1-2
up there, yeah. And then Waldrop obviously transfers to Florida and is good for them and their run in the College World Series a few years before he was drafted in the first round by Atlanta. Couple guys, offensively, Carson Pato, been there a little while, just plugging along, solid guy. Nick Monastery really popped as a freshman.
That's a good baseball player right there.
Yeah, he was good as a freshman, and last year power numbers still there. Batting average a little lower than you'd like to see. Still had 24 extra base hits and knocked in 53 for a 43-win Golden Eagle team. So that's just a couple of guys that they had there. They got a transfer from Butler, Joey Urban, who they think is going to hit there in the middle of that order for them. 15 doubles, 6 homers, 322 average at Butler last year. And then, they'll always have a myriad of arms, veteran Cross Sibley coming at you. He's been there just flinging it up there from that sidearm left-handed release for them. So I like Ostrander and I like Southern Miss.
I hate to break it to you, Gavin. You took the words right out of my mouth. I have Southern Miss also. It's a good ball club. I've played them last 2 seasons in the conference tournament and in the regular season. Same thing happened both years in a row in the conference tournament. Walk off App State 2 years ago. Last year, play App State again, 1-run game. Then you roll into the next day, and you got the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. And tough. That's a gritty ball club. I mean, every year we play them, it is 5-6, 4-3, 5-4. It's a right there neck and neck, and they always just somehow find a way to pull ahead at the end of the game. And I think it's a great thing that Ostrander's got going over there. That culture they have in Hattiesburg is fantastic, and I think Southern Miss Golden Eagles are going to make some noise in the Sun Belt play and the national rankings. I think they'll finish the year in the top 20. And I also like the Raging Cajuns down there in Lafayette, Louisiana. Why don't you tell them a little about Lafayette, Gavin?
I mean, if you want to get into Louisiana, I mean, just fantastic job by Matt Deggs and that staff. 3 straight regionals, done different ways. Last year they kind of carried the torch there in the regular season, winning the league by multiple games. times before that, they had to get in the tournament and get scrappy, get nasty, and win that tournament to get in the big dance. So always like what they do down there. Love the way they play the game. For the Cajuns, it starts on the mound on Friday nights, and that's, for my money, maybe the best pitcher in the conference, one of the top pitchers in the country. Chase Morgan was just fantastic for them as a freshman, as they had to sort out that rotation last year, and he was kind of a stalwart there for the Cajuns. I mean, it's pitchability from the left side, multiple pitches. Velo was, kind of in that 88, 91 range last year. They got him in the weight room over the off season and in the fall, especially, and just it's a clean delivery anyway. So just put a little strength on that guy and have him thrown a little harder. And I think he's probably going to end up winning Conference Pitcher of the Year. Although Troy's got a couple of guys maybe that have something to say about that. As does Southern Miss,
and Marshall,
and Marshall. It's a good point. So yeah, for them, it's going to be Chase Morgan, and then losing a guy like Kyle DeBarge is tough. He was all world there for them. He kind of did it all, elite at the plate and in the field, and just kind of really stirred that drink for them. So they're replacing that big time, getting Connor Higgs back. Maybe not the best from the average perspective last year. He's got a little juice though, a little speed.
LaFleur was solid over there at first too last year. Me and him, we played travel baseball together for East Coast Sox a little bit. Have a little bit of a pass there, but he went to Ole Miss and then he wound up at Lafayette. Didn't really see the field too much, and then his 5th year last year, he started I think all 56 games for him. He hit above 300. He had some juice. He was a good ball player defensively at first too. Losing him, that is a tough loss, especially in losing a 5-year player to. I think he got signed last year too, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Big kid, big time juice, big time potential. It was just always the hit to whether he could put it together. And last year really did for the Cajuns. Nursed an ankle injury all year and still kind of went out there at first base every day, hit leadoff for a lot of the year. John Taylor at second, they lost, was just a scrappy ball player that they had that's no longer there anymore. But they got a couple guys that have been there a while that I kind of like to take a step. I'm a big Luke Uhas fan. Big kid. Louisiana likes to mix and match, so they don't really, unless you're a bona fide superstar like DeBarge, you're not necessarily going to play every single day. They like matchups. Uhas hit anywhere from 4th to 9th last year. Big kid, plays the outfield, big time juice. Had a really good fall for them. And then another outfielder, Caleb Stelly, also the junior this year. Big time potential. Now he's just got to show it on the field, especially from a power perspective.
All right, new ACC tournament format. The old one, horrible. In my opinion, the worst thing possible for a baseball seating. It's the worst thing ever. I get the whole rewarding regular season finishes and how you do, but I just hate the whole 3-team pools. And you play meaningless games. Like, I think that's the worst thing possible for it, especially if you've won the pool and you still have to play a game that means absolutely nothing. I just don't see why that it's good for some players. Like, say for me being a 5th-year senior last year, if that came down to it, we had a meaningless game to play, I would enjoy playing another game. But if I'm playing in the ACC tournament to make a regional or to not blow out my guys' arms for no reason at all, I just think, Callaway, what do you think?
Okay, so I was super excited. I don't see the positives at all to the previous format. I'm completely out on pool play. I believe maybe our first year at Troy, pool play.
Yeah, the COVID year.
It was supposed to be, and then it got canned because of COVID. So I'm glad that never came to fruition.
No, it did happen.
That's right.
My first year, we had a pool play, It
Right.
was, we played a game on Tuesday, lost to Arkansas State, and then had to stay all the way until Friday to play
Right.
UTA, who's used to be in the Sun Belt, and the game meant absolutely nothing. UTA had already beaten Ark State, so they had already advanced, and we were just out there. We had to sit in Montgomery, Alabama, for 72 extra hours to play a meaningless baseball game for us and for our seniors. One last hoorah. I get it. I truly do, but for the aspect of like UTA, and it was on a Friday. The semifinals start the next day. If you need any extra arms, you just burnt 3, 4 guys the day prior for no reason at all. I did not understand it, and I thought it was the worst format possible. Good thing it only lasted 1 year.
Thank goodness. And I'm glad the ACC is doing away with it. It just hurt. It hurt my heart to see one team, go in, win one game, throw the next one, because it didn't matter if they won or not. If you go 1-1 and you're not one of the top 4 seeds, it was basically, it was over. So I look at this from 2 ways with the new format. A, it helps you save pitching if you're one of those better teams. With it not being my preferred method of a conference tournament is what the SEC used to do with the double elims. From a fan viewing perspective, and obviously the SEC tournament's a spectacle there. They pack that thing out in Hoover. From a pure fan enjoyment perspective, the double elim of the SEC, the old tournament style was the best. Here, you come in, you're one of the top seeds, you get a double bye. It limits the amount of games. If you already have a host locked up, are you really trying to stretch out your arms and win that thing? Probably not. You're never going to go out there and say you're going to throw a game, but we're not pushing guys to the brinks to try and win this thing if we already have a spot locked in. So just lessening the amount of games that you do have to play. And hey, if you're one of those teams that's lower ranked and you need to win your way through, the games are there. You just can't lose them. You're going to be on your 3rd guy by the time you get to one of those higher ranked seeds. It's going to be throwing their ace. So I like it. I think it's a little less taxing on the arms than the double elim, and it makes way more sense to me than the pool play, which I was just not a fan of.
Yeah, I agree. I think of it from this perspective. I do like it. I think the pool play it did not make any sense. But if you're a top 4 seed in the ACC, you're guaranteed to probably host a regional at that point. And it being single elimination. What do you think these teams are going to do if they're not going to, but just hypothetically speaking, if you lose one game, that's not going to hurt your hosting or making a tournament at all. So do you think you see a lot more lower seeds win the tournament, knowing that you need the win a lot more and these other teams aren't maybe necessarily seeing it as a win or go home situation and only one loss?
I think it's still just a battle of arms at that point to me. And when you're on game 3, whether that other team, they're not gonna just not throw their guy. So maybe he's not going 120 in a month. It's not a must win thing. Like you've got a host locked up. Like maybe he comes out of the game at 80 pitches to get him ready to go for when it really, really matters in the regional that next week. The way I've seen it explained from the ACC is this is in an effort to protect those top teams. Them basically saying going 0-1 is better than going 0-2. And you saw that with Florida last year. They got the benefit of the doubt going in the SEC tournament. They lose one game, and they're like, well, it was just one game. So I see the reasoning behind them saying protecting those higher seeds if they do only lose one game. But like you said, these guys are kind of locked in. If you're at the top of the ACC, which is going to be, especially with Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12, it's going to be a top 2 league every year.
I agree with that. I do like it with the protecting the top seeds. I think that that's a lot more beneficial than playing in a pool play and possibly losing a host spot, which loses your conference money, and that's not ideal for the ACC. Let's hop into conference champions, Gavin. Who is on? We're not doing all 29 conferences. We could. We might get into that at some point when we get further into the season. We're just going today. We're going with, in my opinion, 10 of the best conferences in college baseball. We have the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10, the Sun Belt, the American Athletic Conference, the SoCon, ASUN, CUSA, and the Missouri Valley. Gavin, who do you have winning the ACC?
This was a tough one for me. There's a lot of good teams in the ACC, but for my money, I'll take the Cavaliers. Give me Virginia. They made Omaha last year. Behind that, I mean, just absolute murderer's row of an offense, and the majority of it's back. It was a little lighter on the pitching side. You can hit, you can win. So that Virginia team obviously lost starting shortstop Griffo Farrell, who's probably the best defensive shortstop maybe in the country. He made some plays where you could just sit there in awe of him. You lose Casey Salke and Ethan Anderson, also just solid players. But I mean, you bring a lot back. I mean, you got Henry Godbout, who was great for them as a freshman last year. You got Harrison Didowick, who set tied the single season home run record for Virginia, and he's got more in the tank. And then I think it's all probably headlined by absolute superstar Henry Ford. I mean, that guy did it all. He'll play the outfield this year for them after a little first base, little DH last year. I mean, it's 17 homers, it's 13 doubles. He had 340 OPS, 1,000. So he was really, really good for them. So they're bringing a lot of guys back, and that offense is just not going to let up. On the mound, it's a veteran lefty, Evan Blanco, was really good for them last year. 100 innings, sub 4, took the ball every day. So that's a lot of consistency there. He's going to pitch it, which being a left-handed pitcher, if you can really, really locate with multiple pitches, you're probably in for a pretty good year. And then Jay Woolfolk is maybe X factor, former quarterback, gave up the football to focus solely on baseball, and he was one of their better arms down the stretch. I mean, it's electric right-handed arm, 95, 96 miles an hour. Unfortunately, tweaked something in his ankle in his start in Omaha last year that kind of ended it in the Cavaliers' last game. But those are just a couple of guys in that pitching staff that I think are gonna hold it down for that absolute potent offense they're going to roll out there every single day.
See, I've got a team, Callaway, you might like a little bit. You might like this team. You might be a localized fan of this team by any means. And I also might have played there. I'm going to take the Florida State Seminoles down there in Tallahassee. I think what Link Jarrett has coming in his second season, winning 50-plus games, going to Omaha. That's a good squad. And they're bringing back a decent amount of players. You got Jamie Arnold on the mound. Top pitcher in the country. Probably be the first pitcher taken in the draft this next season if all goes well. And the weekend rotation's rounded out with two of his very familiar people to him. Lefty Wes Mendez and another teammate of his in high school. You got 3 Jesuit boys, lefty pitchers, starting for the Florida State Seminoles on the weekends. And then you got Max Williams. That guy can hit. He's a good ball player. And then you got Alex Lodis. You've got a bunch of people on that team. A lot of the lineup comes back. You have a bunch of people. Hopefully Cam Leiter. Hopefully he can come to fruition and actually throw a ball for them this year. I mean, it means something when you're a preseason third team All American and you threw what? Did he even throw last year? 4 innings, 5 innings?
And I think he was shut down in April, so I'm not even going to go there though.
But Baseball America's got him as a third team preseason All American. So
it's electric stuff. I mean, we
he's
saw
got
it
fantastic stuff. We faced him at UCF when he was there 2 seasons ago. No, 2 seasons ago. Yeah, 2 seasons ago. And he was a true freshman. He was very, very good stuff. And you can see the projectability there from him. Moving on to the SEC, Callaway. Who do you got?
This is probably a shocker. I'm not trying to be different. I did take the preseason favorite in Virginia. They're number 2 in the preseason rankings, and I'll have plenty of time to get to Florida State as the season goes on. As you say, I'm a fan, we'll say, of the program. Give me maybe the biggest team that took the biggest advantage of the portal year in and year out since being there, coming over as a pitching coach from LSU. Give me Georgia. Give me the Bulldogs.
Johnson and the boys?
Yeah, give me Wes Johnson. A lot of people, Corey Collins and Condon are gone, the 2 biggest guys in that lineup last year. Georgia took a big step with Wes coming in, taking over for Strickland, who maybe didn't do as much with what you've got there at Georgia. Just the state is just uber talented. So I'm expecting Wes to get into that high school crop of prospects, the longer he's there. But I mean, they had Slade Alford and Colby Branch are back. I mean, that's 2 guys with 17 pumps apiece for the Bulldogs. Freshman last year, Trey Phillips, really exciting player, 1,100 OPS, hit 350, 12 pumps. Going to DH for them this year. He's going to be electric. Then it's they got a really exciting player, Devin Obie, transferring over from Duke for his last year. Nolan McCarthy from that host team Kentucky last year, and then a couple smaller school transfers, UNC Asheville, Robbie Burnett. They obviously see something there. He hit 18 home runs last year for them. So the offense is loaded. Several, probably 5 transfers starting for them in that lineup, anchored by a couple guys that they're really good for them last year. And then the pitching staff, it's velo. It's 12 or 13 arms, in the mid 90s. They got a guy who was really good as a freshman for Alabama, and Alton Davis. We saw him live in person. It's an electric arm. He wasn't as good last year. Maybe with a change of scenery, heading to Athens, he'll be able to put it together. You got Brian Curley, shorter, stockier guy, 5'10", 200, a little bigger. He's going to run it up there 98 miles an hour. JT Quinn, Ole Miss. We mentioned Mendez transferring out from Ole Miss to Florida State. Quinn's another Ole Miss power guy that's going to throw Sundays for them. Colton Smith was really, he's going to hopefully step up in that Friday role last year. 20 appearances last year, only 4 starts, 69 innings, but 105 punchies to 20 walks in 69 innings. So if you punch tickets and you limit free passes with the stuff he's got, I think you end up being pretty good. So I like the Bulldogs in a loaded SEC. What you got?
Well, real quick, back to Alton Davis. I think him jump from his freshman year to his sophomore year, I think his productivity might have declined a little bit. This is my personal opinion. Don't come after me if you're an Alabama baseball fan. But I think he was used wrong. I don't think that he was put into the right situations, but he was started to lean on to a 3-4 inning save guy. And his freshman year, he would come in on a Friday night, 9th inning, 97, 98, 97, 98. And then you bring him in, and then you bounce him back Sunday to come in and close. Nice little 2-inning weekend, maybe throw him in a midweek if it really matters. He pitched against us in multiple midweeks, but last year they had him rolling out in the 6th inning and said, "Here's the ball on Friday night in the 6th. Go close the game." And I just think in college you can get away with that with certain guys. You give the ball, here's a 3-4 inning save. That's pretty much is just like a nice little battery 1-2 with you and a starter that you roll out every weekend. But I just don't think that's the kind of guy that he is. I think he's a 1 inning guy, maybe 2, come in and just blow the tank out. And his stuff declined, his velo declined. I just don't think he was used as good as he should have been. And I don't know if that's a new head coach coming in, different philosophy with that, but I think that whole pitching staff at Alabama took a decline from the year prior with Bohannon. I know the pitching coach is still there, associate head coach now, but I don't know if the new head coach from Maryland came in and he had a different philosophy with the way he was using some guys. But my pick to win the SEC, probably preseason favorite, Texas A&M Aggies. I just think with Jace Laviolette, that guy's unbelievable. Gravin Grahovic, he's nuts. And then you round out the start of the rotation with one of my favorite pitchers in college baseball, in Ryan Prager. There's just something about him. I don't know what it is. He's not going to overpower you at all. He's going to come out. He's 89, 93, but his off speed is phenomenal. He can locate wherever he wants. I just think that staff, with the amount of NIL money they have over there in College Station, I think they're just going to be a perennial powerhouse in baseball from here to come. And I recently saw that they're getting a new stadium renovation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's correct. They're just funneling money into that program over there, and I think they're going to be a perennial powerhouse from here to come. All right, Gavin, let's move on to the Big 12. Who you got?
Big 12. Now they lost a little firepower with Texas and Oklahoma. Moving on to greener pastures there in the SEC. But they've still got some teams, some solid programs. I'll take Arizona.
Oh,
okay, yeah, yep. We're not going with the preseason favorite. Oklahoma State. We're going to mix it up a little bit because I like stars, right? Stars are fun to watch. They get people to the ballpark. That's why they buy tickets. And Mason White and Brendan Summerhill are stars. Mason White, they're starting shortstop. 19 home runs for him last year. Smaller guy. Strikeout total's a little high, but he's exciting. Summerhill is going to be a big-time draft prospect this year, near 1,000 OPS last year, 18 doubles. Obviously, we're a little more familiar with him as his brother Colin played at Troy for one season before going over to NIU. He was a pretty decent player himself.
Angels now. You got signed.
For him. Good. I did not know that. Good. Shout out Colin.
He's over there with Benny Thompson.
Backspin Benny. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, in a league where it's, there's a couple teams jumbled at the top, give me the team with the stars. Mason White, Brendan Summerhill. They're going to have 3 transfers on the weekend rotation. So, Baylor, Rutgers, and then a smaller school in Wisconsin, Whitewater, are going to be the 3 guys starting on the weekend. So they got a lot of replace on the mound. But I like what Chip Hale's doing there.
So for me in the Big 12, I have your team's big rival over there. I got the Sun Devils in the Arizona State. I don't know what it is about Cam Scatterbo it's just got me. I was lucky and fortunate enough. I was at the Peach Bowl in Georgia to watch Arizona State play the Longhorns. And when I tell you what, that fan base, unbelievable. There's guys in full suits, pitchforks and all. They love their sports over there in Arizona State. And I'll tell you what, Tempe, that town is fantastic. Big fan of what they got going on over there. And they've got some good players. They got Ben Jacobs, left-handed. It's going to be their Friday night guy. Preseason All-American. number 13 starting pitcher in the country according to D1 Baseball, and a projected first-round draft pick. And then they've also got some other guys rounding out. Brendan Compton, first-team preseason All-American, Golden Spikes Award watch list. And then they've got Keen Vu also in their outfield holding it down, another preseason All-American. They got a nice lineup. They've got a good first baseman in Jacob Tobias, and I think their back end of their bullpen is going to be their questionable factor for them. But I think once the season goes on, you're going to find your guys. You're going to find your 7, 8, 9 bullpen guys that you're going to roll out, and I think it's all going to come full circle for them. And I think they're going to be able to get it done over there in the Big 12. Moving on to our next conference, we've got the Big 10 or Big 16 or Big 20, whatever it is they got over there now.
Whatever you want to call it. They play baseball in the north?
Apparently.
And on the West Coast, because that's where we're at now in this new landscape.
We're in LA. We're in New Jersey. We're all over the place in the Big 10.
Everywhere.
Who you got?
Hard to go against Oregon, man. It's hard to bet against the Ducks for me. I mean, they've got a guy on Friday night, Grayson Grenzel. Was good for them last year. 7-2, 99 punchies in just under 8 innings. So I like him. I like him a lot. They got some big boppers in that lineup. First baseman Jacob Walsh, big left-handed hitter, 18 home runs last year. For them, a couple other guys coming back, Maddox Maloney at shortstop, Mason Neville in the outfield, and Chase Meggers behind the plate. Just solid program. They do a good job out there. It seems like they get in situations and maybe can't quite punch it through at the end. As a couple years back, they thought they were on the way to Omaha and
not when Oral Roberts rolls in.
Roberts came in there and ended up winning that thing. That was a cool story. But I like Oregon this year. They're doing a good job up there. I mean, how many times can you get a shot at it and not finally break through? Jason Wright's on transfer from St. Mary's on Saturdays. It could be a big time swing guy for them. He's a right-handed pitcher. It's going to be upper 90s. They're going to start a freshman on Sundays. Solid pitch ability up to 95. I mean, you're getting good players at Oregon. They're committed to competing year in and year out, and I think that this is going to be another banner year for the Ducks.
Cool unis too, by the way. That Nike school, man. It's just, I don't know what to say. The colors throw me off a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of the bright green and the bright yellow, but they look so good. I don't understand. I don't know what it is, but I've got Tualia Tagovailoa. I've got the Maryland Terps.
Oh, wow.
He's not going to be on the mound for them, unfortunately, this year, but I do like the Terps in Big Ten play. I almost went with Nebraska. I almost did it. Couldn't bring myself to pick the Cornhuskers. But Maryland's got a bunch of good talent coming in from the portal. They landed Aiden Hill, Liam Wilson, and Hollis Porter. Hill came in from VCU. Nice bat there. He hit 6 home runs last year. Hit 276. And then you got Porter coming in from Pearl River. He hit 399 with an 827 slugging percentage, hit 20 home runs, and had 73 RBIs in JUCO play. That's pretty good. At Pearl River, the Mississippi JUCO, that's pretty good stats there. And then they also got some pitchers on the mound. Maryland Gatorade Player of the Year, Jake Yeager. He's going to be a nice addition to that staff, true freshman coming in. And I just think they're going to be able to pull it together all together once it comes in a Big Ten play in late March, and I think the Terps gonna pull through in the Big Ten.
I would probably say Big Ten and Big 12 every year probably more of a kind of all the conferences really though. I mean the ACC and the SEC carrying the weight. They're gonna have 6, 7, 8, 9 teams in every year, and then the other two leagues are going to be a battle of maybe 5 or 6 teams in. So you got teams with a chance, and if the Big Ten starts to buy in on competing, I think especially Oregon might up the whole conference's game the way that they've rolled into this thing. So Maryland Terrapins, all right.
What about the Sun Belt? Who you got?
Well, call me a homer. I mean, it would be hard to pick anyone but Troy for me. Just from a perspective of everything starts and ends on the mound. And they've got guys that have done it before. They have Gary Gaines leading it off on Friday night, and he's been a guy they've been looking forward to getting him back fully healthy. Electric stuff as a freshman, comes out, competed really well as a freshman, especially, I mean, even on the road at a Florida State team that ended up making a regional. So you kind of saw it then. It's real extension. It's a real heater. He's an older guy now. He had elbow surgery, so that's in the past, and he's looking to move forward fully healthy here. Then you got Noah Edders on Saturday, and just a guy who's thrown a lot of innings as a college arm, so I think he brings some sort of stability. I think offensively, Brooks Bryan, we touched on it. I mean, Golden Spikes guy, I mean, at a premium position, by the way, and just couldn't be a better kid. I mean, that guy loves baseball. He loves Troy. He loves, all of his teammates, and you can see that with the way people react with the way he plays. It's an infectious energy, and that's what they love down there in Troy. We've seen it. We've been a part of it. It's a big team game, and when you get a bunch of guys together like that, it could turn into something special. So Shane Lewis, I mean, they're looking for a big bounce back for him 2 years ago, preseason or Sun Belt Player of the Year. Hit 1 million home runs for them last year, not necessarily a banner year for him. So he'll be looking to get back on it. And, I mean, you could just go all day. We already touched on some of the guys, but I like Skylar Meade and I like Troy.
Yeah, I was close to taking Troy, but I had some deep down in my mind told me that you were going to take Troy. So I took the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. It's hard to bet against them. Yeah, I mean, you come in from the Conference USA, you roll straight in, win a conference tournament. Next season, win a conference tournament. 2 years ago, you host a super against Tennessee. That was one of the most competitive supers I've witnessed in a while. And then last year, you bounce back, you win the conference tournament again. And then you don't get the luckiest draw in the world and get sent to Knoxville and take on Tennessee again. And it's just not. I think this is the year that the Southern Miss Golden Eagles finally put it all together, and I think they get to Omaha. And they in Hattiesburg, they've been wanting it for so long, and I think they're finally going to get it this year. And I think that Ostrander is going to get his boys right. Colby Allen, of course, we've talked about him at ends already. I just think the Golden Eagles are going to finally do it. That atmosphere down there is fantastic. The fans love baseball in Hattiesburg, and they have a great supporting cast and their staff, their lineup. I just think they pull it all together.
I will not disagree with you there, Southern Miss. That's one team you just can't bet against, and that's another thing. Preseason rankings, I believe, maybe the last 3 years they finished ranked after starting the season unranked. So they win. They win in Hattiesburg. It's what they do. I think Troy, Southern Miss, Louisiana. I think that's got to be your top three. Coastal Carolina loses a lot offensively from that team last year that ended up, making kind of a run in that Clemson regional. But yeah, I like all three of those teams at the top. But I'll never bet against Skylar Meade. So give me the Trojans again, and Southern Miss. Hey, maybe this is the year.
Maybe. All right, moving on to the American. I think we might sweep the board here in the American.
East Carolina until it's not East Carolina.
Yeah, I've
right?
also got East Carolina as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is their league. It's what they do. I mean, I think Tulane, has made it a couple times. I know they made that crazy run in the conference tournament.
Where they win like 19 regular season games, and then
it was something like that. We'll just say they peaked at the right time in the conference tournament. And then, hey, guess what? Guess what your prize is for that? Paul Skeens. So that dream ended quickly for the Green Wave. But
hey, a lot of people were mad Skeens pitched in that game. A lot of LSU fans were not too happy about that.
I probably would have thrown off. But it's baseball. You never know. I've seen favorited teams lose all the time. So hey, throw your best guys at them, and
hey, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, they did win it all, but there was a little more than schemes on that team. Dylan Cruz and Tommy White doing their thing as well. But yeah, so Cliff Godwin. I mean, his name's thrown around every single year for every big job, and he hasn't taken one yet.
I don't think he ever will.
I think he wants to do it at ECU. I think he wants to go all the way, take him to Omaha, and give it your best shot. Once you get there, I mean, you got a chance. They lose, a little bit off last year's team with Savage going in the first round, Zach Root transferring out. Obviously, those are two big ones. Those two of their better players. A couple older hitters they lose, but Dixon Williams is probably going to be the guy for them this year, positionally. Just do it all center fielder. He's going to hit 3-hole for them and kind of stir the drink for them. They've every single year they're pumping out arms. I mean, Gavin Williams was a favorite of mine, watching him a few years back, and now he's in the big leagues. With the Guardians, Savage. They've had some more, almost too many to count, and it'll look a little different this year. You're not going to have that premier first round guy coming into the year. Not to say that couldn't develop, and they could be starting a true freshman on Friday nights. A 17-year-old physical kid, 6'2", 200, a little over the top, the deception up to 96. They really like him, and he's probably the next guy up in that long string of 6 MLB draft prospects coming out of ECU. So for me, it's ECU until it's not ECU.
Yeah, and that park, you could play 28 games in that ballpark. You're gonna have one of the best offenses in the country, and I don't care what team plays in that park. It's an absolute boombox. When the left fielder's standing out there, and his shoulders are above the wall, I mean, that's a real problem for opposing pitchers, and especially when you have those people on the other side of the wall giving you hell for 9 straight innings. I mean, that environment over there is fantastic, and I think Cliff Godwin, he's going to recruit. He's going to get his guys in there, and they're going to win. And they're going to be a perennial regional host contender every year until they're not. And that's where I stand with ECU. I think they're going to sweep the AAC with no problem, especially when you have UCF, Cincinnati, all those schools leaving. In Houston, they're in the Big 12 now. You don't really have too much competition. I mean, you have Tulane, you have Memphis and teams like that, but there's not too much competition for you, and I think they're going to sweep the floor in the AAC. Let's move on to...
I got to give a shout-out to new ECU strength coach.
Oh, yeah.
Reeves. I hear he does a great job. I
heard he's doing amazing things with the soccer program over there as well. He's got both of them.
He does it all, man. He does it all.
He does a fantastic job working on strength and conditioning. He'll get those guys right. I promise you that. And let's move on. SoCon.
I'll go Sanford.
Really?
Yep, has kind of become a little bit of a feeder program, I would say. I mean, they've had some guys transfer out, and last year,
it's Auburn's JV team.
Sonny DeShera certainly was a guy, became an absolute treasure to the college baseball nation. His 1 year at Auburn, Sonny D.
That guy took me 475 over the scoreboard at Auburn. Just add that in there. Carry on. Sorry.
Listen, don't feel bad. You wouldn't be the only person he did that to that year. Ledbetter transferring out into Mississippi State. So they're getting guys that they seek talent, they find it, they get it in there. Now, what it does, after a couple of years in the program, I'm sure they like to keep a little more of those guys. But you just put your head down and you go find the next one, right? So they're replacing a lot. 7 positional starters. Ace Michael Ross, who was 13-0 last year for them. They've usually got a dude on the mound for them. But I kind of like some of the guys that have coming back. Miller Riggins, good little arm there at the top. Probably going to end up throwing Fridays for them. Brooks Rice, another arm that they're looking to get something out of. He ended up being shut down last year after some injury issues. So I'm sure they're happy to have him back. So Bulldogs.
I've got the UNCG Spartans over there in Greensboro, North
I hear they
Carolina.
have a lineage of great coaches that come through there. Maybe one Link Jarrett might have coached there.
Just put that on the side. I mean, I just think they're preseason favorites. Yeah, I hate just sweep at the board preseason favorites, but they're too good in my opinion. And you've got some other schools in the SoCon that are going to compete, like Sanford, such. They always put up a good fight no matter what. But I mean, you've got Grant Aycock, you got Luke Holland, you got Trey Truitt, you got Hunter Shuey, and you got Danny Thompson Jr. They're all preseason UNCG or preseason SoCon first teams, first and second teams. You've got, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you got 6 players on preseason rankings. I mean, everybody thinks you're going to win, and I think they have the stuff to do it, and I believe that they're going to win the SoCon, and I don't think it's going to be necessarily too close.
Wow. Giving no chance to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm not saying no chance, but I'm just saying.
Hey, they went out there and what was that? Auburn? They beat Auburn.
They did. But Southern Miss was also in that regional.
That was a loaded
UPenn
regional. And, oh man, gotta love the Ivy Leagues, right?
I mean, they came in and they shocked some people. I'll tell you. What was that region? Wasn't it Sanford? It was Southern Miss UPenn in the regional final. If I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. But they were running on fumes there.
Hey, son, who you got?
Austin Peay. I'm going to take a little different approach here. I usually say it starts and ends on the mound. Maybe some of these little smaller leagues, maybe it's a little different. Stetson did, carry the torch there last year on the mound. They had a lot of veteran arms, and they just could really pitch it down in that Tallahassee regional. They ended up beating Alabama, I believe. So they had a good collection of arms. They lost quite a few, but I'll go Austin Peay. They've got the best player in the conference, John Bay. I mean, the guy is, absolutely electric. He's kind of a do-it-all guy for them. Their head coach became an absolute legend with some post-game interviews and stuff, and they it's just a solid program. When you have a guy like Bay, 24 homers, 1,300 OPS, preseason ASUN Player of the Year. I mean, they'll have a couple quality righties in the rotation. Low to mid 90s. See how the pitching staff comes together. They lost, a couple guys to the draft last year. It just goes to show how good that offense was last year. I mean, they led all of Division I in the triple slash line, batting, on base, and slugging. So haven't replaced some of those guys, but with Bay in the middle, I think they got a chance to do it again.
I also have Austin Peay, Gavin. I mean, you keep taking all my picks. I'm gonna have to start going first.
I was going to say, you can't let me go first every time.
Well, you pretty much said everything I was going to say. Great lineup, and especially when not saying that, not knocking the ASUN at all, but those leagues are going to be hitters leagues. I mean, you're not going to find the best arms in those leagues. You're going to run into a couple Friday guys that are running up to 94, 95 with some good off-speed stuff. But when you have the best lineup, that can carry you, maybe not so much into the postseason, but when you're playing to get into the postseason, those heavy lineups can carry you pretty well. We might also tie here again in the Conference USA, Gavin. I think I know who you got. I know who I got, but I'm going to let you go first because I think we have the same.
All right. So Conference USA might have been the easiest pick ever for me, and I think that this is going to be a big year for Hefner and the Patriots. So give me DBU.
Same.
45-15 last year, finished second in the league, won Conference USA their first year in the league, ended up going 1-2 in that Tucson regional last year. You lose a couple of guys on the mound. Ryan Johnson, funky stuff there, up to 100 in the second round. Jaron DeBerry also going into the third round. That's 200 innings combined for those two guys. So you lose a lot on the mound. They're looking for second-year player James Ellwinger to step up. Big right-handed pitcher, 6'4", 205, mid-90s, up to 99. Pitched at a 6 last year, 8 starts. He was a freshman. He did throw it at 2.7 in the Cape. So looks like he kind of figured some things out there, and they're looking for him to step up on Friday nights. You got Luke Pettit, Andy Pettit's son, Yankee legend. 43 Ks, 9 walks, and 36 innings last year, in a myriad of different roles. You got Jared Jenkins returning after a strong finish to last year, pitching at 3.4 in 18 games, 6 starts. LSU transfer, Micah Bucknam, Temple transfer, Mason Peters up to 97. They got freshman Avery Duncan from Wisconsin, who they really like, who's going to be low to mid-90s. So arm-wise, stuff's not an issue. It's just probably to see where everything falls for DBU. But offense is kind of what they're known for. 115 home runs last year, 5 with double digits. 3 of those guys are back. The strength of DBU is going to be up in the middle, starting with catcher Grant Jay. I mean, just absolute juice from the catcher position. 21 home runs with over 400 on base last year. Coach's son, shocker, playing shortstop, but Luke Hefner actually deserves it. He's really solid defensively there. 21 extra base hits, 12 steals, only 9 errors for him last year. Center fielder Nathan Humphreys could be a difference for them. Had a really big 2023, 1,100 OPS, 14 homers, 19 bags in 23. Injured last year, kind of in and out, never really kind of got going again. So I'd like to see him to bounce back. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave you a couple guys to talk about. There's a couple more big boppers in that lineup.
No, carry on. I'm enjoying this.
You got Jaden Krause and Michael DeTallo at first and third. I mean, Krause led the team in hitting last year, 358, 154 total bases. DeTallo, 345, 900 OPS. Tom Poole at DH, 350, 1,200 OPS, 16 homers. So needless to say, offense will not be the issue for DBU. Hefner does a great job there. He loves being at DBU, and that's probably why he hasn't taken any of these big Texas jobs that have opened up recently with A&M in Texas in previous seasons. So little inexperience maybe at the top with the arms, but stuff's not a question, and neither is the offense. So I'm gonna take DBU in a landslide.
I'm not going to add much to that. I think you covered pretty much. I know DBU's your team. DBU's your squad. I know you love them this year. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. You got a couple other tough teams in the Conference USA, but they don't really compare to what they have down there in Dallas. I think they're going to win in a landslide too, and I think they are going to be a force in a regional super, maybe even Omaha. You never know. Maybe
we'll get there. Hey, we'll get there.
Hey, we got a couple months. All right, let's move on to our last conference we're going to cover. We can make this quick. Missouri Valley.
So I'm going to go with future Braves All-Star Drake Baldwin's former college, Missouri State.
Took the words right out of my mouth again, man.
They can swing the stick. I mean, they've got potentially a first-round pick coming up in the next couple years. In I don't know if I want to say this last name, Bogenfold, maybe Caden Bogenfold.
That looks about right. I mean, the
Bogenfold.
POH there. I think full. Yeah, that looks good.
We'll go with that. You know, names don't really matter, but I mean he's an
Names
absolute,
don't matter. It's all about stats and the number on their back.
Guy's a mammoth, 6'6", 240, sophomore there, left-handed hitter. Just, I mean, light power, first-round potential. Maybe they've thrown some guys offensively in the league. They get a big guy for them last year, Stewart, coming back on a team that was pretty good at the plate and defensive miscues and pitching were the problem. And like we said, in these lower leagues, sometimes the pitching might fall apart. And that they pitched it, a little over a 6 last year as a staff, which is not necessarily what you're looking for. But yeah, give me Missouri State. Give me the future first rounder. Shout out, Drake Baldwin, who's probably going to be an absolute legend for the Atlanta Braves coming up.
Yeah. By the way, people, Gavin is a very, very dedicated Atlanta Braves fan. Don't bring up Ronald Acuna anywhere around this guy because he will be talking for maybe days about Ronald Acuna Jr. Fun fact, I was there when he tore his ACL. I sent him a video about 5 minutes after it happened. He was not too happy, but we'll leave it at that. Yeah, Missouri State. I think under first-year head coach Joey Hawkins, I think it's going to be – he's got a lot coming in. A lot of times when you have a new head coach, you don't bring back a lot. That's not the same with this Missouri State team. I mean, you're bringing back what do we got here? 70-ish home runs from the team prior. I mean, they're going to be a force in the Missouri Valley, and I think they're going to take it down. We don't have to talk too much about this, but just give me your 8 that you got to make it to Omaha this year, Gavin.
All right, so a couple of easy ones. We already talked about them. Texas A&M. I mean, it's hard to bet against that offense coming back with Prager leading the way and Lampkin there, who kind of turned it on there in the tournament when he needed to. Schloss was not afraid to let the world know that they were thin on the mound and they needed several guys to step up, and Lampkin seemed to be one of those guys. So Texas A&M, Virginia, my pick to win the ACC. I mean, they rake. They do, so we already covered them. UNC made it a year ago. They lose absolute superstar Vance Honeycutt. We'll see what he does in pro ball. I'm a little skeptical on that, but as far as a college player, he was a superstar, that's for sure. They lose big time stopper Dalton Pence, but they bring back Jason DeCaro, who was nails for them last year as a younger guy. They got Boaz on the mound as well, Aiden Howell. They got Matthew Matthias, I think. They got some interesting names here. I know he was good for them out of the pen last year, and then obviously Gavin Gallagher. A lot of Gavins. We got a couple Gavins.
Good name. Good name.
That's what I've heard. But no, Scott Forbes does a great job with UNC, so we won't dive too deep into it. I'm sure we will at some point. Florida State. I won't go on a rant, but I like Link Jarrett's squad. Love the pitching. Love the different looks they're going to give you this year. A lot deeper on the mound. They're not going to be as. They'll probably have to play the game a little more. Ball hit and run, steal bases. They'll be a lot more athletic this year. We'll have to see where all the pieces fit. They have some big time freshmen down there in Tallahassee, so we'll see how that all shakes out. They've got a pretty easy runway into conference play. So I'd like to see them kind of gel before that happens. DBU, obviously, we talked about them. I'm a big fan of what they do. I think you got to show some mid-major some love, and why not pick probably the most talented year in and year out, mid-major in DBU. Why not show them a little love? Give me Georgia. Obviously, I think you got to have your picked SEC champion is in there, as it's been championed as the best league, all the time. A team I really like is Clemson as well. Bakich, just kind of ran into a tough draw there, getting a Florida team coming along there. Obviously, any team with Jack Caglione on it's going to have a chance. And Neely and Cags and a couple other guys on offense carried Florida through that regional last year. But I really like what the Clemson's bringing back. Maybe a top 10 pick in Cam Canarella. He's an absolute lightning bolt of a player. He's absolutely electric. Aiden Kanak, leading it off, was a superstar freshman last year. 83 innings, 108 punch. He's only 29 walks. So he's going to be leading that rotation. Maybe one of the top transfers in the portal for my money, Luke Gaffney from Purdue, hit 360 last year, 13 pumps, 15 doubles, 1,100 OPS. So I like the Tigers to get there with Bakich, going back for his another time after getting there with Michigan. And a team that, maybe their conference left them behind, but they're consistently there every year is Oregon State. You want to talk about star power. They have Trent Caraway and Gavin Turley. Just great players. Maybe one of the top players in the portal as well is Abby Arquette from Washington. Really, really good player. Oregon State is going to be good up and down that lineup again. Very solid. On the mound, they got a top 30 draft guy, Dax Whitney, to make it to campus. So talk about stuff. Their Friday night guy is probably going to end up maybe Whitney, maybe it's Nelson Calejo, who was an elite reliever for them last year, punching out 92 in 64 innings. We'll see how that transition to a starter, if he can make that or not. But I'll go with the Beefs.
We've got some similarities in here. We got a couple differences as well. I've got Florida State also. Jamie Arnold, Max Williams, Link Jarrett. He's going to bring the boys back to Omaha, and maybe, just maybe, finally get it done for the Seminoles. What is it, 20 appearances?
I think it's 23 or 24.
24 without a ring. That just hurts. If you told me there was a team in college baseball that went to the championship 24 times and didn't win one of them, I'd tell you you're lying. I think Link Jarrett, I know that hurts you a little bit. I know it does. I signed my letter of intent to go to that school. So I'm well aware of the Omaha debacles that the Noles have. But I like Florida State. I also like A&M, my SEC favorite to win. I think Gerhovac, I think Laviolette, I think they're just going to carry that team all the way to Omaha. I've got UVA as well. I also have UNC. DBU also. We've talked at ends about that squad. Also got Clemson. I love Connect. I love Canarella. That's just that one Friday night guy in Connect. His stuff's unbelievable. And Cam Canarella, he's gonna hit 330. He's gonna hit 20 home runs. And his play in center field is just unmatched with anybody else. He flies around out there. He's unbelievable. I've also got Tennessee. Tony V, you can't not knock the guy. That guy is unbelievable. He recruits his ass off. He pulls in the best talent that he can find. He always competes. They're going to be a perennial team. They have been the last 3-4 years. I think Tony V gets the squad back in Omaha. I've also got the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. I talked about it. Already. I think they can get it done, and I finally do. It was for them. It was between Southern Miss and LSU for that final spot for me, but they've got so much talent over there. But I finally think This is the mid-majors year. I think it. I'm putting my foot down. I'm saying it. I think mid-majors are going to upset a lot of people this year. And yeah, I mean, we've talked about it at ends with Southern Miss multiple times on this pod. I mean, I think they can finally get it done. Moving on to our last little segment here. Callaway, are you ready for your little quiz that I have for you? I have 2 questions.
Oh, boy.
I gave you a little hint over the phone. I did not tell you anything other than since the year 2000. Can you confirm?
That was the year I was born. So before that, I mean, it might be a little unfair. So
Okay.
all right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we got.
My
here.
first question for you, Gavin, is since the year 2000, what are the 3 teams to start the year unranked to win the College World Series?
It's a tough one. Coastal.
That is one.
I think that was a shoe in there. Since the year 2000. Make me think here.
I'll give you a hint. One of the teams went back to back.
South Carolina.
That is 2. You need another hint? I got you over here. Pre-2010.
Small school.
Some would say.
I've heard of it though.
Yeah. You're a Saints fan, right?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Tie that all in.
You got me thinking about Kellen Moore right now.
No. Think.
Oh,
Where did Kellen Moore go to college?
Boise State.
No. Just kidding. Where did Derek Carr go to college?
Fresno State.
Correct.
Oh.
2008, Fresno State, only 4 seed to ever win it all.
I forgot they won it. That's bad on me.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's a nice little brain refresher for you. All right,
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up with question number 2. Since 2000, we're staying in the College World Series. Since 2000, what are the 3 teams that started the year preseason number 1 in the USA Today poll to win it all?
Since 2000.
Since 2000.
How many teams did you say there were?
3.
Tennessee.
Incorrect.
Ooh. I guess I was thinking number 1 overall seed, and that's only happened once since 2000,
it was that,
which would be Tennessee
This
last year.
This is pre. Let me rephrase. Preseason before the season starts. Number 1 poll. Number 1 in the polls. Baseball. USA Today. AP poll. What?
Texas.
Correct. In 2005, the Texas Longhorns.
Augie, man.
Hell of a speech, by the way, too. That was fantastic.
I mean, you can't do any better than that.
You can't. You can't.
Started preseason number 1. Let's go elite lineage here. LSU.
That would be the next 2 answers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you tell me the years by chance?
I don't think that Skeens team started number 1.
It did.
Really?
2023, yeah. It was preseason number 1 in USA Today.
Jay had them rolling, huh?
And you're probably not going to get the other year. 2009, LSU Tigers.
Maneri got it done there.
Yep.
Was that oh God, what's that guy's name? He played for the Tigers. He was kind of a big leaguer and just kind of floated around. What's his name?
For
Mikey
LSU?
Matuk. Matuk. I think that that might have been his team. He was really good for them back then. But yeah, exciting stuff there.
That was pretty good. You did better than I thought you. I thought you would get Fresno State. I thought you would. I really did. But you kind of let me down.
Derek Carr's made me hate Fresno State, so I blocked him out.
Did you block him on Instagram too? Blocked him on everything? Didn't want to see his face?
They don't even exist.
I mean, you need Jake Hayner in there. I mean, that photo shoot that guy had, unbelievable. I mean, the aura that guy projects, that was fantastic.
I'm good on Jake Hayner.
I mean, you got rid of Jameis. I mean, that was tragic.
He's a superstar.
He's fantastic. I mean, what he was doing at the Super Bowl for Fox Sports was fantastic.
Listen, they gave Brady $375 million, and he's like, people are like, oh, Tom Brady's calling the game. They probably didn't pay Jameis anything.
No, he probably just volunteered.
He was the most exciting thing that happened at the Super Bowl.
I couldn't agree more.
Awesome.
I could not agree more.
He might be my favorite human ever.
Well, he won you a Heisman and a national title.
That he did.
Well, Gavin, I appreciate you coming on to the 1-2-3 pod as my co-host. I am Ryan. This is Gavin. This is the first intro episode of the 1-2-3 pod. We'll be back. Try once a week, once the season starts, to talk about what's going on. Next week we'll talk about some matchups, maybe some teams we were surprised about from opening weekend. See how some of the top 25 shook out. Got some big Round Rock Classic week 2. That's going to be something to look forward to. Got some good matchups down in Globe Life too this weekend that we didn't really talk too much about. But preseason, you never know until you get on the field and you start playing some games. Callie, you got anything to say?
No, I love the early season tournaments, just to see some different teams play each other that you wouldn't normally see until the postseason. So I like those kind of things. But yeah, no, it's been fun. I love talking ball. So every week we'll be here and shooting the stuff.
Yeah, I mean I couldn't agree anymore. I'm enjoying this a lot. But one thing about the preseason tournament, as long as they don't play them inside the Minnesota Vikings stadium, that was the worst visually. That was horrible. I mean, You got chain link dugouts in there. I mean, that was the worst thing that I've laid my eyes on in a while. I mean, the teams there are pretty good squads you got rolling in there too, and it looks like you're playing on the Sandlot. I mean, it's horrible. I hated it. Hated everything to do with it. I don't know if they're doing it again this year. I don't think they are. I haven't seen anything about it, but
hope not.
Yeah, but well, we'll see you guys next week, and I appreciate you guys tuning in.